Hey, everyone. Welcome to A Star the podcast and happy holidays. Today, we're doing an extra special episode to wrap up the year. And with me, I have Clayton Brecht.
Hi.
Hi.
How's it going, babe?
Good. If for those of you who don't know, Clayton is my boyfriend. We met 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 2.5 now. And
Yep.
he's also my partner in crime, best friend. And we've been through so much together. And one of the main things that we've been through is starting our businesses and starting this podcast specifically. And without Clayton, I literally would not know anything about the audio and even visual side of the podcast. So it's really awesome to have him not only as my boyfriend to hug and kiss, but also to work together and create amazing content. So, do you want to touch on anything first?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely been a process, you know. I mean, it's not easy. There's a lot of kinks in the road. I mean, we just spent an hour working out a hiss in the audio. It's like everything doesn't move the way you want right away. Like it doesn't just happen overnight. And I feel like a lot of people look at it and they're like, oh, I can do this. It's right here. We do this right now. It's going to be amazing from here on. And it's like, it takes so much more work than you think when
Oh,
you
yeah.
actually start doing it.
There's definitely challenges and obstacles to go over, and it's awesome that we are able to kind of problem solve together, find different solutions, try to figure it out. You're like, does that sound good? Does it not? But I think we got it sounded pretty good today. So,
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's hard because, I'm used to being the guy behind the control room, so I'm not as good on the camera at this point now, I feel like
but he
sometimes, but
is. But he really is.
um but it's a challenge. There's a lot of moving parts all the time when it comes to media creation. A big thing that I've realized is just keeping your ears and your eyes open on new things that you can learn, you know. You're never truly like at a peak with media. There's
Mm-hmm.
always something new, always a new technology that's like cool, something new that it's going to bring to the table. Like don't shut it out. Don't just be like, this is what I like. I'm in this mode for forever. You will never grow. You will never learn new things. You'll never challenge yourself the way that you want to, I feel like.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Also, touching on that, it's an experimental process as well because we're our own worst critics.
Hmm.
So when we're our own worst critics, we judge all of our actions and we're like, we could have done that so much better. But honestly, it's just learning from different stuff. Like if anybody was watching last episode, we had even different lighting. So it's
Hmm.
kind of cool to be able to pick different types of settings we want, as well as different sounds and
Hmm.
all of that. So
Yeah.
before we get started, I just want to kind of talk about what we're going to dive into. And that will be, I thought it would be really cool to talk about a little bit what we did for Christmas because we did have an awesome week this week,
Yeah.
as well as just kind of giving a little bit of behind the scenes of what the podcast is like. Because since this is an interview based show, we mostly like to spotlight the guest. But I thought this would be a great time to kind of, if anybody out there is really interested in starting their own podcast or just interested in podcasting itself, we can talk about how we got started with A-Star as well as the equipment we use
Hmm.
and the editing process and maybe a little bit of a sneak peek on what next year will look like for the podcast.
Hmm.
Sound good?
Yeah, for sure.
All
Sounds
right,
good to me.
let's jump in to Christmas. So Christmas this year was magical, in my opinion.
Hmm.
It obviously wasn't the same as any other year we've had in the past. I wasn't able to be with my family, but I was really fortunate to be able to visit Clayton's side of the family and just have Zoom calls with people
Hmm.
and just being able to see smiles on everyone's faces made it worth it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's definitely been a different Christmas. I mean, didn't get to go to my grandparents. They were really weird about they dropped off the presents at the front step like a weirdo, and I don't know. It was different,
It was
but
like, "I wanna hug you, but
I
I just
can't. It's
wanna keep you
weird.
safe."
Yeah. That's pretty much how it is with COVID. Just hoping that we get a vaccine so Christmas goes back to normal next year. But I think it made Christmas a little bit more intimate, closer. You could only be with your close family. You weren't seeing grandparents as much. You weren't seeing as many of the other outside people. It was brothers and sisters, moms and dads. Like it's pretty much the only way you could do it. So I feel like it made it kind of special in a way where it felt like closer, but at the same time it was just different not having the whole family there. So
And being intimate, we were able to give the attention to our closer family members rather than just like opening gifts, haha, thank you. It
mhm.
was more of a deeper connection where we were able to give our full attention to like your mom and your stepdad and your sister, as well as on Christmas Eve when we were with your dad's side of the family,
Yeah,
which was also really fun when we did the gag gifts. Like,
yeah.
we did like this gag gift thing, and all of the gifts were titled like s- the Toyota lover or
Hmm.
something along those
Ironic.
lines.
Ironic because I got a Toyota
Toyota
shirt
shirt.
on.
Yeah, and but like the gifts weren't even like gag worthy. Like, I'm actually gonna use some of the ones I got. They were
Yeah.
practical too.
Yeah, they've gotten better over the years. There used to be a lot of weird magazines, random re-gifts, stuff like that. But it's gotten better over the years. I think people have kind of went more towards a practical Christmas and like what
Mhm.
we really need for Christmas rather than like, oh, we just want a bunch of random stuff. It's just what we need, and like stuff like that. So I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. And I guess my favorite part was just honestly like spending time with your mom and
Hmm.
stepdad like after Christmas when we were able to like watch movies and just like chat and get to spend the night with them. It was really fun. But also like I did get a few gifts that I like, but obviously my favorite part was just being together.
Yeah.
But what was your favorite part?
Oof, that's hard. I think it was probably my dad's, because I think it was just really like fun seeing everybody having fun and like we haven't got much family time to just kind of chill. Everybody's
Yeah.
been doing their own thing, so getting everybody in the same room, getting everybody drunk with the fireball we picked up.
We were
Shout out to
literally
Discount Liquor in
laughing.
Cedar Rapids.
We were literally laughing the whole time.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just Christmas is such a good time of the year and like the giving spirit and the gifting. It just always makes you feel really special whenever you're, a part of it.
I
And our
agree.
family is just growing. I mean, we added you and it's been
Aw.
awesome. So, yeah.
Honestly, it's amazing. I am so thankful for not only your family, but you in general, and just being open and vulnerable. Like, sometimes I can get moody, so it's really amazing to have a boyfriend who sticks with me through it. And that's all you, Clayton.
I plead the fifth. But I'm just kidding. Um
Yeah.
But yeah, it's taken a lot of I feel like we've grown a lot in our own heads to kind of go towards this business. And like we've realized where our paths were kind of meant to go with this. And like I really appreciate and respect the podcasting side because I'm so used to mixing rap vocals, hip hop vocals all the time that it's like it's different. So
Right.
it's a new challenge for me, something I've never really done. I'm making mistakes left and right and even our podcasting. We're not perfect right off the bat, but
Oh, for
it's been
sure
really
not.
interesting the whole time. So, yeah.
And the whole time I've been learning something because I've wanted to do a podcast for 2 years now, and I would try to find like people to be my co-hosts or people to be on the show. I would literally like spend hours just in notebooks doodling like
Hmm.
segment ideas
Hmm.
or what I could talk about, what I wanted to call the podcast. And
Hmm.
one day it finally just came to me. I was like, I always sign my name like with a star for the A, and I was like, how could I make that into a logo and a brand?
Hmm.
Because it's a part of me, and A star became, and
Yeah.
I think that it unfolded exactly the way it was supposed to, where even though I wanted to start 2 years ago, now was the time that it was possible.
Mhm.
Thanks to you, thanks to our team, thanks to just even my own confidence
Mhm.
and being able to get it not only in front of a camera, but behind a microphone. Um, I used to not even like my own voice, but now I can actually kind of stand
Hmm.
it.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, like I said, it's just a lot of growth. We've grown a lot and kind of zoned in on who we're supposed to be around, what we're supposed to be doing. And I think I spent the same amount of years thinking that, oh, I'm gonna be the next rap star. I got this great team. I went through 3 or 4 teams and it didn't work every time, you know. And it's just about finding the right people. Like let fate bring those people into your life because like our team members, it's crazy how we met a few of them and the connections that we had before. Like one of our team members, Abby, knew before I even knew. And then we ended up in the same major in audio production and then kind of became best friends from there. And we talk a lot.
Shout out to Mason.
Yeah, shout out Mason Braddock. Shout out Colby Horst. He's done a lot as well on the editing side of video as well.
And just being a creative spirit.
Yep, exactly. And just bouncing ideas off. That's what I love about our team. Both those guys are in digital mass media for their major. The third one, really good guy. He designed the A Star logo, the banner.
Amazing artist.
Yeah, really great. He hand draws. I mean, everybody's using Photoshop nowadays, but he's hand drawing it, making it look better than anybody can create on Photoshop.
And
So
he's
it's
a
interesting.
marketing, like, major.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You would
But
think
that
he'd be in mass media, but
yeah, because he's such a good artist, but
mhm,
it does help with, like, the branding side of things, so
yeah.
also shout out Colby, shout out Mitch.
Yep, definitely.
They're amazing, and we hope that everyone had a great Christmas
Mhm.
back home or whatever you're doing, even if you weren't celebrating Christmas in general, like, it's just a really good time of reflection and, uh, being grateful for what we have, so
And where we've come to where we're at now, you know? So
exactly.
it's been a hell of a year. Um, you know, it's been a challenge at times with like figuring out how we want to do this, what space we want to put this in, you know? But like when you look back at the end of the year, you're like, damn, we did this in like 3 months. You know, we did this in like 3 months. It was really interesting. I think the moment that I kind of realized that like this is where we're supposed to be at, was when we planned a rap cipher, which will be out soon, provided by A Star and Clay B Studios. We shot it at Tony's La Pizzeria. Shout out to Matt, shout out to Dave, everybody involved. And we came up with this idea, just kind of launching our brands, right? And the night of, we were like, okay, so we got all the team out there. We were at Tap Tap having some drinks, and we were like, okay, so Cipher next week. Abby was talking about trying to get Ben Haggerty on for the first episode, and the same night we were all celebrating. We locked in the venue. Ben Haggerty messaged back saying he was going to do it, and it was on the exact same day as the Cipher. So not only did we have a legendary podcast interview, right after that, we had a 4 hour rap cipher that was really cool as well. We used 3 different camera angles. We shot it basically Canon 5Ds. Shout out to Canon. That was a really great, just all around experience. First time. They had phenomenal lighting on the Tony's patio. If you haven't been to Tony's La Pizzeria and you live in the Cedar Valley area, you're seriously missing out. That's all I
Literally.
gotta say
It's
about
our
that.
favorite spot,
Yeah. And
and I don't know, it's just amazing to reflect on the cipher as well in just that day because there was so much excitement,
mhm.
and it was like our we're in this moment,
Yeah,
and
definitely. And, you know, I didn't really realize it until kind of the end of the night. And it was crazy because we were all sitting right in this very room at the end of the night, just talking. We were a little drunk, but we were just kind of talking. And we were like, dang, we really executed on everything we needed to. We really pushed through. We got everything we wanted done. Everybody played their part. We didn't have to run and tell somebody, do this, do this. No, everybody just knew their role and we stayed on top of it. But yeah, it's just like, it's been a really interesting, like, process of understanding like how our team functions, where our lanes are, who's better in this alley, who's good in this alley. So like the rap cipher and the other like podcasts, it's just it led us into where we're at now, and I'm just really proud of us
oh,
where we
for
came.
sure. I'm proud of us as well.
Hmm.
And we talk a lot about co-creation. If you haven't seen episode 2, go check that out because we talked a lot about surrounding yourself with like-minded people.
Hmm.
Also, I was thinking back to when did we actually decide that we were gonna buy the equipment, go for it, turn this room into a podcast room?
I would say I think that was about 2 to 3 months ago. I would say right around there, and we were just talking about it, planning out carts on like items we wanted to have in the podcast room that we couldn't go without.
We were like,
Certain
what
things.
microphones, what boom stands, what kind of table? Because
Hmm.
originally I did want to have a round table in here, but we found this amazing deal. It was Rife Studios.
Hmm. Yep. Rife Recording Studios in Robbins, technically Cedar Rapids, but right on the outskirts of Cedar Rapids, they used to have a phenomenal studio. Shout out to Kevin Rife. Shout out to Cyan Rife as well. Both those guys were great growing up, and I reached out to him on Facebook, and I saw he had a nice studio desk, and he had another nice podcast table, and we were like, "What the hell?" So we were like, 2 for 1 special. We get a new studio desk, and we get a podcast like table for us to do this on.
And wasn't it only $100 for
Yeah,
both?
and he cut us a really good deal because I used to record with him, and it was just a really crazy experience. He's a great guy. Very happy he survived through cancer. He got through that, and he was a great engineer. I learned so much from him at a young age, and it's kind of what like led me into it. Like I love the recording studio environment. Every time I went to a recording studio, I think I just was at a certain point where I'm like, I love being in the studio so much. I don't want to pay for it anymore. I
Oh, for
want it to
sure.
be in the house.
Now we have our own, right,
Yeah,
in our own
exactly.
home.
Yeah.
On the other side of this wall is Clayton's actual like recording studio for vocals for hip hop and like his monitor setup as well as where the interface is it at
Hmm.
in the PC.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that's even grown so much in the time we've been here. Everything's just changing all the time and we're adding new things. I think one of my favorite things to hear is a lot of my consistent clients who come into the studio, they're like, "Oh, every time I come in here, there's something new every week.
Always
Every week
upgrading.
there's something new, there's something that changed." And I just think like to be a media creator, you have to truly just never be satisfied with where you're at. You have to want it a little bit more. You have to want change a little bit more because that's what's going to make you the best version of that. You can't just be happy with exactly what you have. You can appreciate that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you can't
Oh
appreciate it.
yeah.
You can appreciate it. If you got a Focusrite 2x2 at home and you got one mic preamp, go crazy because that's amazing. They're the same bit depth, everything. But when you're looking at that, you're like, oh, well, now I want the Apollo. I want the newer version of that. That sounds cool too. They have these new features. You want to just keep
There's
tempting yourself
this
and learn.
there's this quote from the book. I'm pretty sure it's from the book You Are the Placebo and it says something along the lines of always be happy where you're at while maintaining an image of what your future will look like. And I
Exactly.
think that's like sums it up pretty
And
much in one word.
manifest that shit. When I go to class, I mean, there are times where we sit in a studio. There's a $3,000 piece of gear right in front of me. Right, there's a $3,000 piece of gear in front of me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna own that in 2 years, and everybody in the class laughs. But I'm like, I'm manifesting that. I'm saying right now, I'm gonna own this in 2 years. I'm gonna have this in 2 years because that's how you get to where you want to go. Is truly manifesting your destiny and setting goals, setting things in your head that you want to accomplish.
Oh yeah, and goals are amazing, but that also leads into a good lesson that it doesn't cost millions of dollars to get started on a podcast.
No.
If anybody listening right now is interested and started, please like contact me because we made this happen with I want to say $500. I
Yeah.
said I have $500 to $600 to lay on the table and to get this podcast going and I said, "Clayton, what do we need?"
Yeah. And I would say 500 is a really good budget. Make sure if you have a Mac, if you have a PC of some sort, just something that can run a digital audio workstation, DAW, and then just have a good, simple audio interface. You're probably going to want two channels at least. Sometimes, I mean, having four is nice, just having extras, maybe a talk back if you're in the other room running a session like me. But
So,
specifically,
should we talk about what equipment we have if anybody's interested?
So we have Rode Pod mics. They're phenomenal microphones. They're dynamic, good broadcasting. They're comparable to the Shure SM7B. And they're not badly priced, around about 150 per. And then these boom stands. We also bought some pop filters. These right here, these go on the capsule of the microphone to kind of stop plosives, like the P's and S's that you hear when you talk.
And
Um,
then all you really need is microphone cables and an audio interface. Uh, we also like the headphones to hear ourselves while
yep.
we're talking, and we have the Tascam. They're really nice.
Yep. Tascam TH02. If you want to start out, grab a Focusrite, Scarlett 2x2, M-Track 2x2, PreSonus. Those are just some good brands just to kind of look into, see what you like. Every interface is a little bit different. But to keep moving, headphone amp is another good thing as well. Make sure you get one of those because then you can kind of control everything. But yeah, I mean, yeah.
And just it's nice because you can change the volume as well. And well, for our camera setup, we honestly only have a ring light we got from Walmart and my phone. That's all we use right now for video footage,
Yeah.
and it's enough. And obviously, I'm saving up money to get a camera so that I can have my phone on the table with me while I'm recording. But for now, I'm just like, I have 4K on my phone. We're just going to do it like this because I want to have a YouTube channel and I'm dedicated to creating this content for my viewers, for myself, to help people and to just provide value. And yeah,
Yeah.
so you really don't need that much. We did deck out the room a little bit. We made these amazing sound panels
Yep.
and
They help with sound acoustics. But a big thing that I would add on to, outside of money, outside of anything that you would buy for a studio, a big thing that I would add on to that is dedication. Determination to actually make a podcast happen. I loved in episode 1 of A Star, when Ben versus Real World, Ben Haggerty, he said, "You know what? I usually don't do podcasts on the first interview. We got lucky we got one." But he said, "Talk to me in 20 episodes because podcasting is hard. Consistency is hard when you're in this." And this is our third week doing it. And it does take a toll, but you get used to it and you get in the process. But that consistency is what takes you the furthest in this. I mean, monetary value can only take you so far, but you got to have the drive. As
the
Chance the Rapper
drive.
once said, "What, you got all the drive, but you can't drive a stick shift," like, so you just have to have it. You got to be determined to want it, and it's not going to come overnight. You can't expect instant results, especially with social media and YouTube, all of that. Being a media creator, it does not. I've been working at it since I was 16, seriously now 3 years. And, it just takes time, one step at a time. You can't get to the finish line in one go. So,
Oh, yeah, I agree. And that's a really good point because consistency really is the key. Right before this episode, I had a freak out attack, honestly, because I was just like, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. There's so much effort that I need to put in. But honestly, most of it happens behind the scenes.
yeah.
And I'm not much of an editor. So that's why I bring Clayton on the show too, because he deserves the spotlight for being the one to produce this entire podcast, honestly. Like, yeah, I may have put a little bit of money into buying equipment, but
But you're the voice behind it. I'm just the person who makes it real. I'm just the person who makes it real. I mean, it's your intent. It was your idea that took it forward. All I did was make the idea real. That's the same thing I do in the studio. It's like all these people are like, "Man, I couldn't do this without you." Rah, rah. I'm like, "Man, I just took your idea, polished it up, and then made it what you said you wanted."
and
So
that's the co creation, which I
exactly, yeah.
love. we couldn't do it without each other, honestly.
No, definitely. And I mean, we balance each other because there's a lot of times where I'd spend too much money on gear. I'd buy something else that I don't need for music production that's unnecessary. But you have to find somebody to balance. You have to find at least a team of some sort, one, two people to help you and to bounce ideas off of it. Really helps you because not every idea is a light bulb idea. Not every idea is amazing. But if you have a team that's like, oh, bro, that idea is great, but here, let's take it to the next level. Try this. Just listen to people. Listen, take in ideas, take in co-creation. Like it's big.
It
So
is big. Not to mention just like the editing process in general
mhm.
is it's necessary to have different eyes to make sure that everything turned out the way it was supposed to, like quality control aspect of that.
Yeah.
So even though Clayton may actually be the one on the computer editing the audio and the
Yep.
video, and like Mason and Mitch are creating the graphics for that, it does still take motivation to be able to come up with questions, also
Yeah.
find my guests, and do all of those little practical and technical side of the communication through the
Yeah.
podcast, which I pride myself in.
Mhm.
So I don't know,
Yeah.
it's fun.
No, it is. It's a good time, and it when you start out, it's challenging. I'm not gonna lie, but push through it. Yeah, that's the difference between good and great is pushing through it and wanting more, just being able to move forward. And I know these episodes sometimes can be a lot of editing, can stress us out. We get through it and we're like, oh, and we're like, shit, we gotta do this again next week. And so it's like it does take a lot, but the end result is always worth it. It's like when you get it down and you get it online, you're like, sweet. It just feels good.
It
It's
is
something that feels
sweet.
rewarding, self-rewarding, like
Sometimes being uncomfortable is more comfortable when the results are magnificent.
yeah, for sure. And you got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Nothing's ever going to work out the way that you plan. You're always going to run into some snake, some kink in your system or something that'll happen, but just keep moving. Nobody is perfect. No production will ever be perfect right off the bat. Kanye West took 5 years to even learn how to freaking beat produce. And it's like those things, it takes time and it takes effort and pushing forward. But that's a big thing, just determination and believing in what you're going for. And it's okay to doubt yourself. I doubt myself on my music all the time. I mean, shit, I've got 57 songs that I've made and I've produced that I've never even released. I doubt myself. I have self-doubt on if songs are even good. I just, so you got to be able
It
to be
does
your own
happen.
critic though.
Right. And being your own critic comes with understanding that not everything's perfect, but it is okay right now.
Mhm.
And I just enjoy sitting here talking in the microphone. It's almost a form of release and therapy for me in a way,
Yeah.
but I'm also being able to create something beautiful in the end, which honestly, reflecting on where we've came from, not only in this year and the podcast, but just like as people and the way we've evolved,
Yeah.
it's super amazing to me. And I'm just really excited about what next year has for us
Oh
for
yeah.
growth as well as a star in Clay B Studios.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, we're growing every day. We have more people swiping up. We have more people saying, oh my God, how did you do this? How do you get this audio effect? Your guys' audio is so cool here. What'd you do here? And I love that aspect because it shows that we're doing something right if people are like, what can I learn from you? I want to teach. We want to teach people. We want to give people the spotlight, like you're saying, and we want to be able to help them along the journey. You will never get to where you want to be if you're selfish. You just won't do it. You need a team in media. You need to be able to move forward and to keep an open mind. Don't just be nice. Be
Just be
nice. Yeah,
nice.
just be nice, honestly. But
That's a good way to put it.
yeah.
And to go off of your point, I think it would just be a good time to talk about kind of what we have in store for next year because
Yeah.
I think that we are a channel that's going to allow for a lot of discussion as well as questions being answered. So If anybody has any questions about media creation, audio specifically, Clayton's the guy for you. If you have any questions about communication or inclusivity, um, I can help you out too. Like, we just want to be here as a support as well as a place where people can come together and feel like they actually belong somewhere, because it's not easy to find your little niche or where you feel most comfortable, where you feel
Hmm.
most creative. So that's what we want A Star to be. And so, looking forward to next year, a little bit of a sneak peek about what we have in store. There will be an A Star group chat that will be functional for anybody interested in just being a part of a creative collective.
Yep.
Our goal for the group chat is for people to be able to ask questions, work on projects together, find motivation, as well as maybe
Just learn from each other. Just learn from each other. That's a big thing with this group chat we're trying to make, is just being able to bounce ideas and learn from one another. Because it's like, if you're in a group chat with people in Iowa, you're more likely to work with other people, you're more likely to take in new information. If you're there, there's gonna be subcategories for photographers, videographers, artists. If you're a digital designer, a graphic designer, so then no matter what lane you're in, you can always go into that other lane and find people in that lane and outsource. But just do it locally. Just do it locally. That's the best thing that we're trying to support. Is every other state has popped out great artists, has popped out so much other stuff in this audio, in this YouTube community, but Iowa hasn't, because we haven't came together to help people out of here. So we need a collective that we can actually create from. And I would love to have a group chat where artists can talk. Oh, you want a feature? All right, meet me at Clay B Studios Tuesday. All right, we're locked in, and we can look at the chat like, okay, they're trying to do a session on Tuesday. They want to do something like this. And then people can just talk about their ideas, and just, you can even video call, you can audio call directly on there, exchange numbers, exchange information. Like, it's a big thing that we're trying to push and master before we really put it out. So,
it's going to be a great place for just getting together and elevating the voices of those who not only support us, but that just get it, that just
mhm.
understand what we're trying to do, what we're going through, and strive to do the same. Along with the group chat, we're going to have an episode every Sunday. So next year, that means 52 episodes. So right now, we have a few guests that I really, really want to have on the show lined up. Clayton will be on some episodes as well, because he just understands the process as well as the creative control. So, if anybody's interested in being on the podcast and you're not quite sure if you fit into the category of what we're going for, reach out to me, please, because no matter what type of creative person you are, you're probably going to fit in. And even if you don't feel like it, I will bring you in with open arms, because I feel like everybody deserves to be embraced somehow and
Mhm.
their voice raised.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're gonna have some great guests next year. I already know some of these guys. We're not gonna give it away right now. But if you're really serious about your content creation and you want to make a lane, or if you need any of that help, just message one of us. If you message one of us, you get both of us. That's pretty much how it works. So I'm good at giving you technical advice. She's good at giving you the advice that'll make your business sound good. I'm good with the ideas, and like I'm good sometimes with my technological side, but the communication, that's where we make a great team, to be honest. And just honestly, I would have to say the biggest takeaway from this year that I've learned is just appreciate where you're at. Appreciate the journey that you're on, because you it's life. You only get one shot. You only get one shot to truly make a difference, to go out and do what you want to do. Stop wasting your time. Just do it. It doesn't matter how
Nike,
young or how old.
just do it.
Exactly. Nike. It's crazy.
It is crazy, but it's also so realistic at the same time, because we're we're literally doing exactly what we've always wanted to, and honestly, it feels so fulfilling and joyful. Like, I just feel joyful right now because looking across the table at the person I love and being able to just make magic is so moving to me that I I lose touch sometimes being able to comprehend.
Yeah. So, just next year, really be on the lookout for the newest episodes of A Star, the podcast, every Sunday at 4 p.m. And pay attention to Clay B Recording Studios. We'll be dropping ciphers. We will be doing other full showcases, other things like that. We're trying to branch out a bit. So,
Yeah, and please share this with a friend. Anybody you think that would grab onto any of the information we're giving or gravitate to maybe our community that we're trying to build. It's all a learning process for us as well as everybody along the journey with us. So if you're here now, I just thank you so much. We love you.
yeah.
We're here for you. We cherish you. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we appreciate everybody tuning in. It means a lot to us. Even if we had one viewer, we do the exact same thing. But we're blessed to have more than a lot more than one viewers and a lot more than one person interested. But if you want help networking, if you want help getting your name out, your media help, anything, just reach out, talk with us, and let's set up a time to meet. It's just that's really how I feel about it. It's just be happy and enjoy where you're at with your life and appreciate it, but keep learning. That's a big takeaway. Keep learning.
Love the journey.
Yep, exactly. So yeah.
Well, if you made it to the end of this episode, it was a little bit of a longer one. We just send our love to you. We will be back next year. So happy holidays. Have an amazing new year.
Yep.
And we'll see you next time.
Yep.